begin. What do you do with 8 million Nazis? Chapter 7, Occupied Japan, 1945 to 1951. Cult deprogramming. Just like Germany, potentially every person in Japan appeared to require deprogramming. Before Hiroshima, the militarists had been threatening to deputize every man, woman, and child in Japan to fight to the death if the Allies were to invade in 1945. Grab a hatchet, a knife, or a shovel and fight to the death. Would the Japanese actually do this? After all, the God Emperor requires your life. After the atomic bombs and the surrender of September 2nd, 1945, the Americans knew they couldn't just leave Japan. Japan's Great Depression led to the military takeover in the early 1930s and their invasions and crimes against humanity. Dark times led to Unit 731. Evil leaders took power when things fell apart. The scientists of Unit 731, by the way, did thousands of inhumane experiments and created many biohazards. Occupation. Thus, the Americans stayed after the war. But how could they get the Japanese to cooperate? General MacArthur had a brilliant solution. Use Emperor Hirohito to promote the Americans as Japan's new best friends. But wasn't the emperor guilty of war crimes? How did he escape criminal charges? Soon, the Tokyo trials were to begin. Like the Nuremberg trials, many ended with death sentences. However, Emperor Showa was not indicted. Some people were, and are, convinced that the emperor helped organize Japan's slaughter of innocents. Either way, General MacArthur sidestepped this question by keeping Hirohito clear from the tribunal. Somehow, the emperor was labeled a figurehead. The military were the perpetrators. And after the war, the Americans made sure that Hirohito had zero power. He had the position, he had the figurehead, he had nothing else. Soon, MacArthur took Hirohito on tour to cheer up the decimated Japanese people. But wasn't he guilty? Historians debate this. Meanwhile, it is worth remembering it simply was not wise to stand out in militaristic Japan. The war appears to have been run by a committee. Like everyone else, the emperor may have felt it foolish to think for himself, and Hirohito was not a forceful personality. In the videos of the shy man touring his nation, you can see Showa bowing awkwardly and always saying, "Is that so?" to every single person he meets, without exception. I do not know if anyone truly knows Hirohito's role in World War II. Send me bread or send me bombs. By 1946, MacArthur worried that Japan was on the verge of revolution. There was starvation, mass unemployment, radiation sickness, potentially violent veterans with nothing to do. Hastily, MacArthur wrote President Truman that D.C. should send me bread or send me bombs. To turn Japan around, he needed food, medicine, money, and hundreds of business experts. If he didn't get these, they could expect a revolution. People got fed, unemployment dropped, and Japan suddenly started to get relatively rich. Finally, Japan and America both wanted the nation to return to democracy. With the help of many, they wrote the MacArthur Constitution, which gave women the right to vote and provided everyone with freedom of speech, religion, thought, assembly, property, and other basic rights. The MacArthur Constitution still guides Japan today. Thus concludes Occupied Japan. Next up, the Tokyo